always high drama without resolution and always flavored with no hope. I think what concerns me is how many people want to believe that she's telling the truth. And I think, where's the fruit? Where's the fruit? Where is the culmination to any of these investigations other than utter chaos? Where is the hope in the message that, look, sometimes life feels crazy. Who's in control? You know, if you are a Christian, you're going to talk about that, then don't forget to remind people there is a God on a throne who's in control. Candace Owens was recently invited by TPUSA to come and have a conversation with them. Now, you guys know that Candace has spent the last 3 months eroding Charlie Kirk's memory, eroding his reputation, eroding his organization, and deriding everyone who had anything to do with his organization, and has openly claimed that there were people in that organization who wanted him dead and were happy when he was killed. For 3 months, she's been saying, TPUSA, answer for yourselves. You guys must be lying. Obviously, because you're not coming out against me, your silence is saying that I'm correct. And then she came out and she said, if this is a horrible, evil organization, if you've ever sent any money to them, you need to demand for a refund. Like, there is no greater evil than the evil that lives at TPUSA. So they finally responded, which she was thrilled about. And they cataloged all of the claims that she's made without saying anything like, and she said Erica Kirk had something to do with it. All the claims that they cataloged that she'd said, she has explicitly said. So it's really important to note that they weren't stretching at all here. They weren't pulling together a couple of things that didn't really make sense or were pulled out of context or that she could deny later as having said. And they said, we would like to invite her to come here and have a conversation here about all the claims that she has made. She responded and she said, well, you know, after all that snark that you guys threw my way, you could have just asked me to come over. You actually didn't need to be like that, but okay, name the time, name the place, I'll be there. We don't need to get lawyers involved. We don't need to have a long drawn out process about this. Name the time, name the date. I'll be there tomorrow with bells on my toes. So then they posted, okay, let's do this. December 15th, we'll do it at this time. We'll do it at the studio. Because a conversation of this level needs to be had between two people. This does not need to be a live stream event where she's Skyping in, where she's Zooming in. It needs to be come and have a conversation here. Okay. Well, she tacks on at the end of her statement, I'll come, but let's not do any assassinations, okay? Like, I'd like to still come out of this alive. Which is just... First of all, your friend was actually assassinated, so I don't know if assassination is a joke. If you really think that these people are assassins, why would you ever agree to it in the first place? Why would you ever allow yourself to say, absolutely, name the time, name the date, I'm there? But of course we knew she was going to back out, when she obviously did, because she is not a woman of her word, you guys. She is bravado. She is an actress. She is play acting an investigator, okay? Well, they name the date, they name the time, and then she responds with, what are you guys talking about? You put this up on X at midnight, you don't even have the decency to call me, ask what my schedule is? And I'm like, your schedule is what they say it is, because you've spent 3 months talking about what a horrible organization is, you know, throwing shade, quite frankly, at Charlie Kirk and the memory that people had of him. She has done nothing but talk about this for 3 months. The only thing she has to do is arrive and call these people to account. If they are the liars that they say, that she says they are, and she believes they're so dangerous, arm yourself to the teeth with security and go in and deal with this like you said you would. Okay, like you postured on your show, and then I have a conflict. That's not going to work for me. You don't do anything but do your show every night. And she's like, I mean, I can't even believe that they would ask me to do this show. Like, the time they want to do their show is when I do my show. So, like, that's not going to work. She's literally canceled her show because she was having a bad day. And somebody talked to her mean on a phone call one time. And she's like, I'm not doing my show tonight. I'm not in the mood. So she can cancel it for that, but she can't show up for the conversation that she's wanted to have for 3 months to call account the murderers of Charlie Kirk, allegedly. I mean, it's wild to me that she is doing this, but crazier still is the cult followers. You know, whatever she says. You guys, it's pitiful and it's painful to have all of these people who are over here believing everything she says, and she never follows through. If I were the one conducting this whole thing that she's been doing, I would have told her from the get-go, don't accept an invitation to these people and then backtrack. Like if you don't really want to go there, if that's going to be awkward and weird, then fall back on the lie that you've already told everybody that they are the assassinators, okay? And just be like, I'm not meeting you guys anywhere. You guys assassinated him. I'll do a live stream, but I'm not meeting you. Don't say you'll come and then be like, what are you guys talking about, okay? That's the time I do my show, so I can't come and do your show while I'm trying to do my show. So now she's settled on doing a simultaneous live stream. So while they're making their claims, she'll be over there making her claims. And it's just going to be a hot mess. It's going to be more of the same. Ultimately, this is what I would like to say. There's lots of people who love everything that Candace says and does. I used to watch Candace. This is pretty interesting. I started watching it, but when I had an opportunity to watch how she does an investigation in real time, the blinders were taken off of me. And I think that they were taken off of a lot of people. So when she comes out and tells a big story right before Thanksgiving that she's received intel that there is an assassination plot against her by the Israelis and the French, would you believe it? And she's going to take a week off because, geez, you've got to hide away from the assassinators. But she'll make sure to send a text to the FBI and get that information on Trump's desk so that they can protect her, even though she's always claimed that they are not trustworthy sources or individuals. And then she'll come back after Thanksgiving and we can chat about how she was almost assassinated. She never showed you any information. She never showed any information, not one document beyond the claim. Why in the world would she claim that TPUSA was a terrible organization because they would not give her the information that she wanted? Where was the autopsy report? She wanted to see it. Why was she not getting information from different angles that they had of the actual assassination? She wanted to watch it. She needed to see it. When they finally give her the information, she wants them to post it everywhere. She's demanding that everyone along the way, every organization and every individual give her the receipts, and claims that anybody who cannot provide receipts is suspect. But then, okay, applying that same logic, where is your receipt? Where is your evidence that you have an assassination plot against you? You won't show us that? But you just said that people who don't show information are liars and should just be deemed liars. You guys, this is a person who saw a dear friend, regardless of the station in life that they had found themselves, whether they were super close at this point. There had been a time when they were really, really close. And now we are getting a person who is living in the aftermath of having seen that friend shot in the throat and watched him bleed out. Just like we all did, but not all of us had a relationship with him. And think about how scarring that was to see that video. Candace Owens has been traumatized by a horrific incident that would have affected her much more deeply than it would have affected the rest of us. She never took a day off to be sad. She never took time to grieve. She has not received the therapy that one would require after having watched the gruesome murder of a friend. I want to extend deep understanding to a person who is devastated by the reality that they live in a world where a dear friend of theirs could be gunned down. But let me remind you, Candace, he was gunned down doing the thing he believed in, supporting the organization he believed in, that he ran. That organization is not probably going to be able to keep going without Charlie Kirk, because whether they want to believe it or not, he was the glue that held it together. And his charisma and his personality were singular to him. But it was his organization and he built it. Right after his death, there was such a revival of spirituality that I was so blessed by the fact that this person, who was a strong Christian, a strong spokesman for God, regardless of how you felt about everything that he said, whether you agreed with all of it or not, what was very evident about him was his faith. And that really, really inspired a lot of people. Instantly, we see Candace almost with a scythe come in and just cut down this resurgence of faith that was growing as people looked at Charlie Kirk, and whether they agreed with him or not, his faith was very evident. And so and that made him different. And so regardless of whether people were supportive of everything he said, they were inspired by his faith. That's long gone. And Candace is single-handedly responsible for eroding what could have been a beautiful faith journey for so many people. I just want to know what Candace thinks she's doing with her life. She's never finished a storyline. She's never provided any pragmatic hope for anybody. If anything, she's coming out telling you there's no hope. This is a terrible world. Chaos reigns supreme. She has not helped to uphold Charlie Kirk's legacy or what he believed in. If anything, she's worked to erode what he believed in. She's worked to cut down people's baby faith, like tiny little seeds of faith that were growing. She just poured poison all over it. And I just don't understand what it is at the end of the day she feels that she is accomplishing with these investigations that go nowhere. Her Brigitte Macron investigation, it's not going anywhere. She was getting into this weird storyline where Brigitte Macron had been part of the American military and he'd been part of the Sanford study. That just went up in smoke. She's been going on and on and on for weeks about Charlie Kirk. It's a different suspect. It's a different thing every day. Now she's going to be assassinated. But wait, I don't really know what happened with that. She's got no receipts. That's just going to go up into smoke. It's always high drama without resolution. And always flavored with no hope. And for somebody who calls himself a Christian, he uses that as a constant theme as to why you should believe what they say because they're a Christian. They're a Catholic. Friends, be careful about people who use those terms, okay? Christians are imperfect people. God knows I'm imperfect. Just be careful that if the people in your ear are telling you that they're Christian, but there's never any hope, there's always chaos, there's always confusion, there's always discord, there's never a kind word spoken, there's never an understanding, trying to see both sides, wondering like, what's another way we could see this, trying to give grace where grace could be given. If it's always discord, always discontent, always sassy, always just snarky and mean. And look, I got spice in my voice, okay? I have some personality that I know the Lord is like working and trying to sanctify in me, you know? So a person can be like, well, Sharon, we think you're pretty sassy too. I know. And so this isn't me being like, I'm perfect. What's going on with Candace? I'm not. It's just, I think what concerns me is how many people want to believe that she's telling the truth. And I think, where's the fruit? Where's the fruit? Where is the culmination to any of these investigations other than utter chaos? Where is the hope in the message that, look, sometimes life feels crazy. Who's in control? You know, if you are a Christian, you're going to talk about that, then don't forget to remind people there is a God on a throne who's in control. And if she really believed that there was an investigation that was going awry, and she had the powers to find out the truth, what I feel a person with integrity would have done is think, okay, I'm not going to besmirch the legacy of my dear, dear friend, nor am I going to undercut his wife and what she's trying to do with his organization in any way, shape, or form. I know that there's an investigation being done. So what I'm going to do is, because I believe I'm very good at investigating, I'm going to conduct my own investigation. And I'm going to be very quiet about this, but I'm going to compile receipts and I'm going to collect information. I'm going to have a dossier. Okay. I'm not going to say a damn word about my friend or anything. I'm going to grieve quietly about that. I'm going to do everything I can to uphold the seeds of faith and spirituality that I'm watching grow right after he died. I'm going to make sure I do all that I can to water it because I shared the same faith. But I'm going to compile my evidence, and then I'm going to give this to the people who are defending. In this case, she doesn't believe that Tyler Robinson had anything to do with it. Not really. So if she believes that, collect the information, give that to his defense, and do what you can behind the scenes to clear his name. If you think you're such a good investigator, but to make millions of dollars episode after episode after episode, monetizing all of this, doing ad reads, extra information behind a paywall, not a lot, but there has been some, selling merch, regarding this. To me, those are not the actions of a person whose fruit is bearing witness to the faith and the love of Christ. I'm just saying there is such a thing as using God's name in vain, and I think she's doing that because are her actions, podcasts, and tone sowing chaos or rectifying and building up and providing solutions for problems? And I have no problem with her wanting to talk about conspiracy. I have no problem with her wanting to talk about potential problems in, can we trust the government? Is the CIA after? Like, these are real problems and real questions. There are real forces against us. But where is the hope? Where is the tone? Where is the remembrance that at the end of the day, God is on his throne? At the end of the day, evil will not prosper. At the end of the day, love your children, love the Lord, love your family, go about in the community and do good. And don't live all the time with this unseen force against you, because there is an unseen force who is for us in the form of Christ, God, the Holy Spirit, and the host of heaven. Chaos is not going to win. So why would I want to be a voice for it? I guess is all I'm saying. So I look forward to seeing what happens with TPUSA, but it just makes me sad because I think the organization is going to be run to the ground. I think there's a lot of people who believe Candace Owens, and I wish so much that she would have allowed the people at TPUSA and herself to grieve in a different way.